I'm good, actually.
Yeah.
I'm in a very nice and chill state. I'm actually at the mall right now. Maybe that's as extra as you can go. I'm
Yeah.
in a public space.
Right. And no one's gonna come bother us, right?
No, not that I
Unless
know of.
like you want to bring people on the camera.
Yeah, well, if they want to show up, I'll just quickly be like, sorry, I'm busy.
Well,
What do we
if a
do?
random person walks by, maybe we can say hi to them and
No,
show.
actually, because where I am right now, I'm actually facing a wall, so there wouldn't be anything coming by. So we planned this. We planned this.
All right. Okay, so I want to talk to you a little bit about. You've been in the typology community for quite a while. Do you want to talk to me a little bit about your history in typology? And
Sure.
yeah,
Sure, especially like I guess for the people that are watching and listening to, I've been in the type community, or at least studying type, since I was in grade 10. That was in 2010. So it's about 10 years past. However, I did take a break. I guess for 3 years after that, I took like a brief 2 year break, because I got busy with life and work. And then afterwards, I picked up a book from Heidi, her ENFP book, and it got me reignited into it again. Because it finally was like, oh my goodness, another explanation that I actually resonate with. And then after that, I found myself into Discord, and I've been associated with the Discord community briefly back in 2015, I believe, either 15, 16, kind of like that gig I started. Whoever's listening who knows me from Discord will know exactly where I came from because I totally forgot. But after that, been there a while now. I am on Megan's Facebook group, and I have a YouTube channel now.
You're obviously intuitive because you don't really notice sensory changes at all. Right?
No, I don't.
No. Did you notice that I put up a little banner here on the page?
I did a little bit, but again, it's like to me, it's just part of the background. Like
Right,
it doesn't
right.
really. I
So
don't
someone's
know.
giving
It's
you a
like,
compliment, someone that you might know.
yeah, no, yeah, I saw it. I had to finish what was. I'm sorry, like for
No,
chill,
that's cool. I'm
for Jamie,
just checking what's going
but
on. Yeah.
no, but that's the thing. Okay, but maybe it's a little quick disclaimer. I will not notice comments if I haven't gotten my any point out yet.
Okay.
I'm still on it, so I'm gonna like everything else just becomes way more into the background that I will not.
So you were talking about your Discord then?
Yeah, I was there, and then that took a while. That was fun. That was a fun gig for me as well. I'm still in it, and it's still working out. But I've been balancing my time now between that, Facebook, and real life as well, because just like work and other semi projects. Heck, there's even that other project I actually am working on too. So it's a lot going on.
Cool, man. So and then you have a podcast?
I do. I started that last year. Started it in May, where at first the whole point of it was I just wanted to babble. I'm known to monologue a lot, but in a way, it evolved over time, and I just started thinking, hey, okay, well maybe this could be used for something else. And then I started season 2, I believe, the beginning of January or late December, where I started having guests over, where we could talk about.
So I wanted to ask you though, also, when did you start betraying the ENFPs?
You just want to get straight to the point.
Yeah, straight into it.
Okay, to give people context.
I'm just kidding. Context.
To give people context. So I've been telling Ben here that like I've had situations and run-ins with other FI users where I've been accused of betraying my own type and my own functions because I am willing to mediate between them and an FE user. So I've also been calling out and publicly expressing secrets about like what ENFPs do and what bad behaviors we've been typically hiding, in a way. Because I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of tired of us NFPs getting away with some things that really shouldn't. I feel like it's not a big deal. And I feel like it's part of our growth process. We can't just be relying on people telling us that our FI is validated and then like that's it, and just assume that just because I said it, it's true. Or it's valid. It's not.
What NFP's behaviors, sort of things, did you call out?
Okay, so I have I think I made a video about it too. I think it's like a year back. I made a video about it, where called ENFP bad behaviors, and it's one of those things where we will purposely overwhelm you with any, so you forget the initial point that we're talking about.
Right.
It's in a way we're just distracting you by distracting you.
Yeah, but that's obvious. I've seen you guys do that quite a bit.
Yeah, and then there's another one where we'll try to. How do you word it out? We'd rather you think of us as dumb, whereas we're actually strategizing behind the scenes. All ENFPs I've met, they strategize beyond. We do not have valued NI. So what ends up happening is we don't really connect to time and to the flow of intuition in that same sense. And because we don't predict it in the same aspect, we are going to predict it using our NE. And it's reactive. We're NE DOMs. So, and the thing is it's not just me, it's ENTPs as well. It's just that ENTPs kind of get the medal for like, they're the debaters, they're like devil's advocate type of gig. For us feelers, we don't really care for the moniker, but it doesn't mean we don't do it ourselves. Like it's so, I already can feel the backlash coming in. The amount of times we've worked behind the scenes and functioned as a man behind the curtain is 100% true. Like this is something that we function best.
Just any fear.
No, not at all. This is something we're also kind of secretly proud of as well.
Oh, okay.
Like ENFPs are so proud of being able to like look innocent, and because I've done it myself. I've been like, don't worry, don't mind me. I'm just an ENFP. Keep going, and keep doing what you're doing as if I haven't already seen it. But we're not gonna do that because we want you to look at us in a certain light instead. Another thing that people don't get is that we are really adept at producing masks. And I don't mean that in a way that puts us in a position where we're accused of as fake, because I mean, I own it. Like, I do. Right. I don't know about others. But in a way, we do because our FI is very fluid. Well, that's debatable as well because other ENFPs will probably argue against that. But I mean, even Dave Superpowers even mentioned that we have a clown mask that we utilize a lot. We'd rather you see us one way because we believe that in our any mind, we create a new identity, a new personality with every person we meet. Because you see me, you take only what I showed you, and that's about it. I could choose to destroy that idea you have of me another time, but I'm not going to go out of my way to do that. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that you know that side of me only, and that we're going to be okay until I wanted to use it to my advantage later. Now, I'm saying it in such a way that's so weird because let's put it to them. Enneagram-wise, I'm an SP7, so I use people for tools. It's definitely been my bad habit from the past. So I talk in a way that is reminiscent of that. Nowadays, I try not to, and I try to distance myself from those situations and try to rationalize a way that I could make both parties benefit. But normally, that's how I talk. I don't actually mean like use you to like a bad thing. I say I use you because I see that you're competent and that you have potential and that you're capable. But I mean, I'm also not gonna shy away from the fact that I did use people, and I have, and I'm not apologizing or making excuses for my own bad behaviors.
I don't think you can be held to fault for that because they allowed themselves to be used. It's their own fault. You're just sort of teaching them that there's ENFPs out there, and if you taught them in a good way, that it wasn't too damaging.
Yeah, actually, that's kind of funny you mentioned that because I've had TPs tell me that same thing too. They're like, well, they allowed themselves to be that way, so you're fine. Yeah. I was like, thank you for having polar FI. Thank you. That means a lot to me, actually. I personally, though, believe that more ENFPs should come forward and be honest about it. We don't need to be shady with each other. That's totally okay. I mean, it's totally not okay. Because if we another example is I have a lot of DMs where I talk a lot to people, and I do because to me DMs are important, and they're important in a way that I can get in contact and connect with you on that level, but in a way how do I put it? It's in a way when we talk to you, I'm generating and gathering information from you as you talk, as your silence, as anything, and I'm creating a makeup in my brain about you. And that's to be used for later. And it's not supposed to be sinister. It's not supposed to be sinister. Normally it isn't. I know a lot of unhealthy ENFPs who have done it sinister-wise, and who have had that bad attitude or bad action towards it. I personally have told myself that in order to combat my natural tendency to do so, I should at least be, acknowledge it. I've been practicing radical honesty recently. So, to combat that, it also helps the fact because I'm a 7-2, I have a tendency to dull down or make it lighten up a situation when it probably really isn't. So I always have to fix that by
to be able to do that too. To lighten up
true, but to me, the advice of you should lighten things up is not good for me because I already lighten things up. So if anything, I need to face darkness and be more honest about the darker sides of myself, like that
Yeah.
part I need to focus on. Um,
Yeah, good for you.
yeah, that's another crazy because I feel like I have to think about it a little bit more about what
But
other
I mean,
bad
okay,
behaviors.
so in a way though, what you're doing by being honest like this is being true to yourself and being authentic.
It doesn't feel that way. I would
It doesn't.
throw down like that. No, it feels because here's the thing though with me and FI and FE, because in a way I can express it like to you guys as an FE style, and you guys will take it as such. But to
Right.
me, it took like a lot of work. This feels exhausting. This feels like I'm putting in way too much
What
more.
does?
Like
What feels exhausting?
just being this, I guess, honest and then authentic. Really, to
Mm.
me, it feels like I'm shredding a part of a side of me that isn't. How do I put it? It isn't really useful for my own ends. I feel like I'm sacrificing the usefulness for myself for the usefulness of others. And that's the part that feels weird. Like there's a disconnect there. But then again, in type, we all have to make sacrifices to be honest and to make compromises for the sake of the theory in type, if anything. I don't
Yeah.
know. I've had
It
that.
sounds like you're growing your FI though. Growing any function is hard. It's not easy. It's work, right?
Well, yeah. Plus,
Using SE every day is work. Using TI every day is
ugh,
work. You know,
I mean, I could fake it, but
SI DOMs, it's also work. SI DOMs, a lot of work.
let's
So
put
I
it this way: I
mean,
could
just
fake
because
it
it's
really
work, it
well,
doesn't mean
but
it's not FI.
yeah, that's the funniest part about it. Like how do I put it this way? And at work is another way. I'd rather people perceive me one way rather than perceive me for who I really am, because how I really am may not always be everybody's cup of tea. And I've noticed that with folks because I do tend to have a more jarring energy, especially with people who aren't accustomed to my energy. I've had people tell me too that, like, oh, you're too happy, or you're too honest, or you're too rude, or whatever. And in
Who
a
does it get
way,
off?
well, some of them are FE users, so
But I mean,
there's
you
that.
are whoever you want to be.
Exactly. But in
Yeah.
a way, the realm, I'm ruining the mood. Like to folks who aren't really privy to that kind of thing, it's not as important. And I can be free as to just be this all the time. But it depends on the person. To me, I'm not going to enforce that and like be like, oh, but I am me, so take it. That's not how I get what I want. So, because in a
So
way, my real
yeah.
goal is
So what you're doing is you're looking for what you want. You're looking for some goal. Like you're sacrificing your self identity. You're what we call an OP is double deciding.
Hmm.
You're yeah. You're
Yeah.
able
Well,
to go against your self interest for the a greater good, or a greater
yeah.
whole, or go against the tribe for yourself.
Well, the thing is that my actual main goal is still my NE. I want to get information out of everybody. I want to consume. I want to overeat and gluttonize on all this delicious theory. But I can't
Right.
do that if I'm basically gung hoing my way through every single wall, because in a way I'm basically alienating myself from everybody. I can't do that. So
What do
instead,
you
I'm going
mean?
to
What do you
have
mean when you gung ho through walls? What does that even mean?
like like I guess just showing up and just being me. Sometimes I'm like one trait of mine that I know of is I'm very talkative to the point where I can literally stop other people from talking because like I'm just gonna go for it. You know, like I have such strong like I have to be countered by an ENFJ sometimes because they're as talkative as I am. And like I just keep going. And the big problem with that I realized is if I choose to maybe hold that off a little bit and listen, then I'll get the information that I'm actually wanting to hear from people. Like I won't get that if I didn't. So in a way, that's a principle I took in where I started applying it to everybody. Where if I wanted information out of you, I gotta tone myself down and then listen, and I'm going to get that information out of you the way I'm comfortable with, or something.
So
And
what kind of information are you hunting from people?
it isn't specific, if anything. To me, it's very
Okay.
passive. It's very passive. Like, for example, I could be getting, it could just be anything like really small sensory data that I personally wouldn't care about, but I would keep. Um, in a way, it's not really hoarding. It's really just being gluttonous about it. Like, it's just a very primal urge of consumption.
Yeah.
Like, based off of the philosophy that, like, I could learn better if I learned everything, but I don't feel like it's enough, so I have to keep consuming. Like there is never going to be enough information.
So right now you've been talking, right? So what kind of information have you gathered from talking right now?
That I'm just explaining myself. I haven't
Okay.
gotten any information because I'm just basically repeating what I know. In a way, I'm at a disadvantage because I'm just expressing, but I'm not taking it in a way.
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So how do you stop the talking and start the listening then? Because you said the talking gets you to listen.
It's it's a conscious gig. I forget at times. I mean, I'm not saying it's something. It's not a perfect mood for me or move. Like there's
Move?
going to be a moment where, because I like having when I'm on a thought, I keep going, and I won't stop until that thought is out. And with bad TI, I can't find the right words, so it'll just be a vomit. And then I'll be like, okay, I'm done, I'm out. But then the person's like, oh, so what did you mean? And I'm like, oh no, I have to think back. Now I have to look. Now I gotta like process it. I was like, oh, that's not my gig. So it's going to be a bit of a struggle, but
Right.
yeah. I know if people were to listen to my show, I've been practicing a lot more of that. Like
Yeah.
I've been paced more. I ask questions more. Like I want to hear from people more. Um, I don't know. I just hold into my core that I'm really just a student of life, and that's the best thing I can do.
Yeah.
Like if I just keep
Do,
reminding
do,
myself
you,
that.
do you notice the difference if you go back and listen to your first podcast today?
Oh gosh, my first podcast. Oh my goodness, I haven't. I'm afraid to. I'm afraid to look back and be like, hey, so this is what it felt like. I babbled for like 20 episodes. I like spat out everything I could think of with my NE. And then I realized that I'm like, great, now it's out. Let's finally listen. That's the gig. I guess, I don't know. Like, it's just, oh, there were truths there were confusions there. I'm glad though that some folks listen and they're like, hey, we really do like how you said this one way or something. And I'm like, oh, well,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, but here we are.
Yeah, for sure. But but you did have noticed a lot of growth in doing podcasts as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Looking back, I mean, now that we're on this subject now, looking back and reading through, I mean, I had a hiccup one time. I found out that the podcast hosting site that I was on earlier doesn't have full Canada support because I'm in Canada. So I wouldn't be able to get the coverage that I've been more interested in getting at. So I had to like switch hosting sites. I had to learn what that did as a person who is not good at, well, I mean, I claim that I'm not good at tech. I've just basically, I read something, I use it, and then I apply it, and then I forget about it. So I'm kind of like, okay, well, I gotta learn how to do this now. So we do that. And since that's been going on, after that time, it's finally been like, I've had situations where I've been thinking about it and I would be processing out loud via my podcast and just talking and then talking about how I'm learning all these points and I'm synthesizing all this information that I'm getting from type and I guess reflecting about it because I barely do. I don't have an inner monologue. Like I don't have an internal dialogue voice in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
To me, it's very visual. So
Yeah, that's the voice, man. I got one too. It's not words.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Like other people got it. I'm going like, okay, that's good for you. I don't have that kind of ability. Congrats for them. I don't have it for me.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I had a thought here. Maybe is it masculine NE of me to keep pushing with my NE and then realizing, oh wait, I need to listen because I'm so pushy with it.
I think what you're going to be pushing. Yeah. So it depends what you're doing. If you're giving a lesson, it's supposed to be SI that you're pushy with,
Oh well,
or even your TE.
I have yet to to read more into OPS. I've been meaning to.
Yeah.
I think it's really fantastic. I mean, as a TE user, I'm consuming it like it's drugs to me.
Right.
It's like you have 512 available options. Like yes, that's the gig.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about when you stop to relax, when you stop going, sort of thing?
When I stop to relax, I do. The thing is I do. I can look it. My brain doesn't though. I have forced myself over time, like over the months, where I find because I guess the people who don't know, I have SI dom parents, so ISTJ dad, ISFJ mom, and it took me years to finally realize how important that is for me as a person with inferior SI. And lately, I've just been incorporating just little basic, little SI, here and there, like going to sleep on time. Like I actually sleep at 8 or 9 p.m. like every night now, except for weekends, because weekends are like party time. But for the most part of the weekday, it's been regular. I've been trying to apply a more routinized like skincare routine. I've been trying to take on more health like tea and vitamins and what I call SI witchcraft type of thing, like things that we, things that I don't know, like a Chinese herb garden would offer. Like I've been doing a lot of that because in a way I found that when I put attention to it, it actually benefits me more. Like I was explaining to an EIE that I was like, I'm getting so many benefits from it, even if I can't fully explain it. Like my brain is more clear, I'm calmer, I'm not as reactive as before. I can take on more TI criticisms and not like be all, offended or something.
You touched on something really important there. It's when you put your attention to it. Like any function can work with you. You just have to put attention to it, put time and work in it.
Yeah.
Functions are work, yeah.
I mean,
it's good that you're putting in those hours in the SI and paying attention.
I had to.
It feels like witchcraft, or you are witchcrafting. Like
it looks like it because I don't know where it's coming from. They're like, "What does this need?" It's like, just put on Vicks and should fix everything. And I'm like, okay. I guess
I was just telling a buddy of mine the same thing. That like, it's great that you're in your head and you're dreaming all day, but you have a body and that's what lets you dream. So you better take care of it.
Yeah. No, exactly. And well, with me, the years of being told that this is the realm that I need to be playing in, it hurt in a way, because looking back as an NE Dom, I would have wanted it differently. I would have wanted to at least explore more and to be promoted and, nourished or nurtured in that direction, which I didn't get. But that's fine because in a way,
sure. If you have two SI Dom parents, they're both going to be doing the SI for you. You won't even need to bother. Yeah.
Exactly. And in a way, though, they also stopped me from trying to develop it myself, because there's situations like there's just one little story where like if I fell from a bike, my dad would be like, take away the bike. Let's not make him ride bikes. And I'm like, but I need to feel pain. Like what? Like I need to experience the trouble so that I could learn from it. So, I mean, granted, I tried to leave house when I was 4, but that wasn't good. Ever since I was a kid, I was already a handful. My parents would already be like, he's equivalent to 10, because I would just I don't know, like I never had stranger danger problems. To me, every person I meet, to anyone who's listening,
nightmare, man.
Yeah, my parents, and both of them have a 6 in them in their Enneagram tri-type. So me, if I were to, let's say I was 5, right, and I just meet anybody, whoever I meet and I lock eyes with you, you're either my dance partner, my joke teller too, you're my story listener, like you're gone, like you're done. Like if I were to see that, like if we were to lock eyes, you're done. Like, and even in the bus right now, like whenever I take transit and someone locks eyes with me, it's like, do you wanna? It's like, are you sure about this? When I was giving them that eye, I'm like, if you do this, we're gonna go down a rabbit hole, and it's gonna go. And then I don't know. Like nowadays I just put on the headphones and I try to look down all the time because I don't want to have to force my NE to. Well, I don't want my NE to suddenly force them into like hiding. I don't mean to, but here we are.
So you've been investigating FE for a little while, right?
Yes, my best friend is an ESFJ. My mom is an ISFJ. My best friend's husband is an ESTP. So I actually don't have a lot of FI interactions, except with my dad and some folks from online. I've never really had FI. I mean, I've had FI people for bosses, like coworkers, but that's about it. I've never had anything else other than that. All of them have been FE users. And in a way, I've gotten acquainted with how they think and how they function and how they navigate the world. And even though I think it looks ridiculous, but it's them. Like, that's what you guys do.
So do you want to give a little rundown and explanation of like some of the differences? Because I know you're writing a book now about this, right?
Yes, I am. I guess with folks who haven't known, I am writing a book about it. I have been meaning to. I have a goal with that book. I will be meaning to finish it. I want to finish it by the end of the year. But yeah, it's basically a explanation, an in-depth dive into feelers from a feeler word, like from a feeler perspective. In a way, the purpose of it is I want feelers to be able to understand each other more. Like I want us FI users to look at FE users and be like, hey, I get you. Like understand where I'm coming from. And then for the FE user to look at the FI and say, hey, I'm here. Yeah. Like get where I'm coming from. And so that we can mend that little disconnect, because I'm noticing a trend of miscommunication happening between both the feeler functions. It's actually way more so than the thinker functions. Like I feel like you thinkers don't mind it. Like I've seen like ENTJs and INTPs get along great.
Yeah, like it's rare that I notice the clash between my FE and an FI, for example.
Yeah. Oh
But
yeah, and it's not as much for you guys too.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I
but
have a
I get it.
section in the book too where I was mentioning that to the thinkers out there who are interested and are intrigued by the heck I'm writing about, feel free to do so. Feel free to want to debunk it, criticize it, whatever. Because in a way, the whole purpose of it is for feelers more. But if you find it, useful for you guys as thinkers so you can get what's in our heads a little bit better, so that we don't come off as illogical and irrational as what is normally known about us. Um, if you can lessen that a little bit, why not? Right?
Yeah,
I see it as
I
kind
just
of
want to
like,
stop a little bit to take care of some of these comments. So he says you're blasting really well. You're good at talking, so your practice is good.
I must be doing well then.
He says you're aspiring FE somehow. I don't remember what that was. 50 points for...
Body that lets you dream. Maybe that's for you because you mentioned that.
Oh,
I think.
okay.
Yeah.
And then we have someone who says you're definitely an ENFP and MBTI.
Thank you. There's people who told me that they thought I was an ESFJ or like, and all my tests I always get ENTJ. So again, I'm an AnyDom. That's literally, I'm not surprised by any of those results.
Someone else says you're an AnyDom. I saw you were AnyDom.
Two AnyDom in a row. I mean, Ben, I'm just saying, like, that's a quick disclaimer. Yeah, I'm pretty out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
So
Megan
then
is right. Thinkers will hash it out. They will. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can go on and on about hashing it out with TE users because it's frustrating too. But I mean, we get there eventually. It just takes time.
Well, I think another fun thing about it, actually, about that, I like to talk about a concept called feeling self-compromised with FI. Sometimes as FI users, especially high stack, we have a tendency to get a little too into it, and then we forget that you guys aren't even gunning for us personally, but we've already taken it personal. So what I do as a kind of a coping mechanism for that is when I feel that I'm welling up inside and I have a huge seething rage inside because of my FI, I have to like tell the person that I'm talking to, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm compromised right now. You do not have to trust me making any decisions. I need to step back. Maybe I need to cry a little bit. Maybe I need to like let it out. Or could you please hear me out a little bit? Let this trauma out first. And then once that's out and like the volcano has leaked, we can now go back to the arguing. Because I would feel so bad if I lashed out and then like suddenly the person treated me as like less so and like, oh, you're kind of messed up now. And I'm like, no, it was a leak. It was literally just a moment.
That with FI needing space whenever there's some kind of
issue. To
with...
us, we don't express much. Like, it's just, we don't have to. I feel like with myself, I've had situations where people, okay, maybe it's going to sound dark, but I've had like, so many funerals to go to. But it's not my place to cry, is what I feel. It's not my place to do that. Even though to FE, it's like, oh, express your sincere emotions and gratitude that you're sharing with this person. And that's fine. I'm not against it.
I guess there is the, you go up to the person, you're like, I'm sorry for your loss sort of thing. But I get the same thing.
Right?
I don't want to make the guy feel uncomfortable by crying in front of him or whatever.
Yeah. To me, it feels like if I did, it would feel selfish. So I choose not to.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Although there's situations where I will literally ignore the room and will just be emotional because to me it felt justified. And there's like situations where I'll disrupt the room because I felt that I needed to be right at this moment and you are all wrong and I don't care if everybody burns and we're going to fight it. Like that's kind of, I have my mood with that. But then I feel bad afterwards because I'm like, wait, I ruined the FE. A side of me is like, wait, no.
I think there's also there's also TE DOMs that'll start crying.
Oh yeah.
Just because they've worked really hard to get in touch with their emotions and they're just like being really FI in that moment. Like it's
I think it's art. Yeah, I think it's really beautiful.
So it's not that like, everyone can cry at a funeral. Everyone's going to be sad. Yeah. So
I would say it's just a really long process for us as FI. I just use this as an example, but it's like there's situations where we will just cry at home alone and that's okay with us. Like that's just a gig. I really don't see it as important to mention or to even bother with, but I mean, it's a gig. Like it's just how it is.
I can see that you feel a responsibility for your feelings. Like you're responsible for them.
Yes.
You treat them with respect and you let them out when you feel comfortable doing it, and like that's good. That's just healthy FI.
I've had situations where I found it kind of funny where we'd just be having a conversation with a person, and the other person was an FI user, and then suddenly that FI user stopped and said, "Hey, I don't want to talk about this anymore because I feel like this concept is too sacred for me to deal with." And of course, the TI users in the room were like, "Well, what do you mean? I'd like to know more," because they're curious. They're not out there to attack you. They want to know why. But then the person's like, "I don't want to talk about it anymore because you're literally almost the words he used was like, it's defacing the temple that is my FI or something."
Right.
And like I cringed a bit because like I'm laughing in my head. I'm going like, dude, like seriously, you're gonna tell TI users that like this is supposed to be some sacred wall?
No,
They're
but I
not
mean,
gonna think about it.
I am kind of a little bit jealous in a way of the way that you could just set a boundary like that. Set a FI users can just it's not boundaries, but it's a boundary.
Well, yeah, but I also feel like in that situation, it should have been handled differently, because as a fellow FI user in that situation, my words. Sorry, so guys, just bringing a garbage tray here. I don't know if you hear that, but
Can we see him? Show the audience. Where's the garbage tray?
yeah, no, the FI user is basically what I was trying to say is that I want them to be able to express themselves that, hey, I'm feeling emotionally compromised by this situation. I'm going to take a step back, come back, and then we can still talk about it. Because in a way, I would love to see talking about whatever I feel was a sacred temple of my FI. Like, let's talk about it. But in that moment, I'm taken over by my feelings, and I don't want to deal with that. Like, I don't want to have to go into that realm. And if I did, that will, I mean, I know FI users out there who probably resonate with this. If we did, we were afraid that it could cause a break in a connection with somebody. We feel like it would ruin it.
I was talking to an ESFP, Versavia, who says this, basically she's going to take time to process her FI when it's appropriate. She might get really mad at work, spend the rest of the day, with her head down, and then go home and then process it. She won't process it then and there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But she will process it. Like as long as she puts it on her to-do list, then she can deal with the rest of the day. Like she knows she's going to end up processing with it. Yeah.
If she's listening, I 100% relate to that. I've had situations where I accidentally snapped at a person and be like, "Don't talk to me right now because I need to process this. I don't want to deal with this right now because I have a job to do." Like that's just my instant gig. Because sometimes I feel like it's not my place. Like I've had situations where, tell a story. I drove my mom to the hospital one time. My dad's panicking in the back with her because she's about to die, and I wasn't allowing myself to feel it. And they were like, "Why don't you just react?" I'm like, "If I reacted, we would have gotten in a car accident, and that serves us nothing. That serves no benefit to anybody. So why should we do that?" So I'm like, "I'm gonna drop you off. I'm gonna go find free parking because I ain't spending $25 over something that a doctor can fix. So let's do that, and I'll come back with free parking, and also my mom is cured." And she was. Like I was confident that was gonna happen because I'm not a doctor. I don't know what I'm doing, but they do. So if she's having an attack, the best place would be the hospital, in my opinion. So go for it. I'm like to my dad, "Well, comfort her. You're her husband. That's fine." As the son, and I'm the one driving, I probably should, compartmentalize my emotions sometime, and I can cry about it later. I literally went to my mom like 2 hours later and I hugged her. I'm like, I felt really bad, but I was like, I just needed to tone it down because I needed to get you to safety.
Okay, well, I don't know what functions these are coming from, but if someone were to tell me that they need time to process this, they need time to deal with this emotionally, I would get really worried. I'd be like, what happened?
Oh.
What did I do? What decision are you going to end up making about my character when you're alone processing without my input?
Oh, it's not about you. Yeah. No, it has nothing to do with you. It's no, not at all. Like I've had okay, this is the thing. I've had a long and hard conversation with my ESFJ friend about this because I would have moments where I would be like, "I'm sorry, I'm taking a sad day off. I'm going to take my Sunday off and I don't want to hang out with anybody." And they feel off about it because it's like, why do you need to do that? Why can't you just tell us what's going on so you don't have to go through it? And I had to explain to her that this is a thing that I do.
This is a question.
The ability to just snip off. Yeah. Freeze it, unthaw it later. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I could freeze frame it because as I was explaining to other people out there, FI emotions and expression operate under 2 different time zones. I can freeze it.
Yeah. So Megan says she doesn't know how to compartmentalize her emotions.
Yeah, and that's what I love about FE people because you just express it. I don't know how to do that. That kind of feels weird to me. Like you just cry when you're sad? Who does that?
What
When
if-
you laugh when you're
what if-
happy? What
What
the
if
heck?
someone annoyed you or whatever? Would you tell them to F off or something like that?
If somebody annoyed me, as a nine
Yeah.
fix, I probably wouldn't.
No? Like, you wouldn't have any emotional reaction towards someone?
I
You
have
wouldn't
felt
let
anger.
out your emotions on someone ever?
No, I've had anger before, and I've definitely
Okay.
felt it seething and bubbling inside and boiling. But if, let's say, okay, I've had a situation where I was pissed off at my friends, and I was really upset, and then it was through text, and I'm sitting there at work, and I'm going like, I can't call them; they're at work. I can't like yell at them. I can't send them a long text because that doesn't do me any justice. So I'm gonna sit on it, and then after I sat on it, I just froze it, and then I like stopped feeling anger after a while after that and started getting my work done. And then when we met again, I was like, by the way, I really didn't appreciate how this went. Like, that's just how I would go for it. Because in a way, I
Like
don't want them.
You rationalized it there. It seemed like logic is what you were doing. You're like, it serves no logical purpose now to have an emotional reaction. So
Yeah,
I'm
I mean, I don't want
gonna
to
hold on to
embarrass
it.
anybody. I mean,
But,
man,
like-
I've cried at work before. Like, I've done this whole gig, and I've been crying and crying, and be like, wipe it off and be like, good morning. Just be like, hi, I'm sorry. I'm like, you don't need to know
Right.
that I'm having a bad day. That's not your business. Like,
So-
you're not my friend. You're not anything. So I feel embarrassed for the person. I don't want them to go through that. In a
So
way.
I've seen FE users change their emotional state really quickly.
I
Is that
see that
something
as
you noticed as well?
I see it as less so about like how my style of doing that. I think it's more so in a way because the TI made sense to do so. I feel like with you guys, there's a need to like. I feel like FE users can compartmentalize. I know what Megan keeps saying it's no, but I feel like you guys could, if the TI fits. If the TI moment fits about it, I feel like it is possible because my ESFJ friend has done situations where, like, she'll have to hold it in. She feels terrible holding it in though. Like, I'm not saying this is an easy thing. Like, FE doms will feel horrible, like having to even do that. But sometimes they did it. They sacrificed because in a way, that person wasn't meant to hear that expression from them. And I explained this to them. I'm like, this person doesn't deserve your FE. They don't need to see it. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I will stand here, sit with you, and you can cry to me, and you can yell at me, whatever you want, spill, ruin your makeup, whatever. I'm here for you. That person won't. That person can watch you die, and that person will even care. So why are we gonna cry to that? That's a waste of your time. Like, that's a waste of your breath. That's a waste of your feelings. And then for them, they're like, oh, but I feel it. I'm like, I know. But then you're just gonna be judged by them, and that's just not worth it because I know that the other person's also an FI user, so I'm gonna like, it's not worth it. So
it feels like, again, you're rationalizing away your feelings.
yeah, I feel like you have to, because in a way, I don't know, like maybe I just don't allow myself to feel like in the moment. Actually, another thing I have a problem with is being in the moment. I don't know what that feels like. That's a weird notion for me. Yeah, I'm playing SI witchcraft stuff and doing like candles and like onesies and
Yeah, that's not the moment. Yeah, that's.
but I don't feel it. I'm watching the world through a lens of a TV. Like, that's still it for me, even if.
Yeah.
We were talking about, I guess, just how compartmentalizing emotion feels like. We weigh everything in terms of if it's worth doing. We prioritize a lot as an FI user. I've had talks with, TE DOMs, and I can tell that they hurt, that there's an FI there that's like poking at them. But I could also can't help but be impressed sometimes that they're like holding it down because they don't want to break down. They feel like they're responsible for keeping a world together somehow, even in their own way, even if the other folk doesn't, like it, because it's what they're used to. It's what they've always been doing. And like, I'm impressed by it. I feel like it's an art form, and like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes like I dated and or not dated, but I was really good friends with like an INTJ before, and like she shared me her FI.
You ever get hurt? I don't know, when you were younger or whatever, and like you don't even realize that you're hurt until like 10 minutes later, sort of thing.
I tripped a lot. I would say I definitely like. There was a moment where I like opened up my knee and like little pieces
up your knee
of
and then
my.
you didn't notice your knee was open.
No, it hurt. It definitely hurt. Like, I could
Okay.
feel it. But like, in a way, 50% of me is feeling the pain. It hurts. I'm acknowledging it. 50% of me is laughing at myself for looking ridiculous because I'm crying. Like,
No, because the reason why I bring that up is sometimes that's what it feels like with emotions for thinking dominant, is that we don't even realize that we're having emotions or that something's hurting
well,
until after we look at the blood leaking out and we're like, oh, okay, I'm feeling something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, if you're going in that direction, yeah, I've talked to an ENTJ who went to the gym at 3 a.m. even if she was like 2 hours sleep deprived. She didn't care. It's like I just needed to feel better about myself. I'm like, okay. I'm like, did you sprain yourself? She's like, I did. I'm like, drink more water. She's like, thanks. Like,
No, okay. So it was actually just a metaphor. Okay, so yeah, it's just like emotional pain I was talking about. So
oh,
like if a thinking user gets emotional pain, we won't even notice
emotional
we won't even
pain.
notice it until like maybe hours later or days later where we're like, oh wow, like that really hurt me emotionally.
As a 7, that's one of my hardest gigs to deal with is emotional pain. I would tell my friends now about pain that I've experienced from people because I've never acknowledged it in the past ever. Like years back, I'd be like, I hope this doesn't sound like I'm holding a grudge. I just never knew that this was. I should have spoke up at that time. I should have been like, oh, I don't appreciate why you talked to me like this, and I didn't appreciate how I felt,
Yeah.
slighted by you or something. I didn't have those at all because to me, who cares? I'm having fun. Like, I'm like,
But just what you were saying about TE DOMs, that you were impressed with what the fact that they weren't crying and they were compartmentalizing. I
yeah,
think that the TE DOMs might not even notice that they're feeling something until later. Like they might not even notice that they're being emotionally
no,
affected.
mm-mm.
And it takes a lot, I think, for a TE DOM to actually get in touch with their feelings sometimes.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. I personally wouldn't force it out of them because I guess I don't value FE, so I don't just go out there and like, where is your expression? I don't care.
Right.
And I think that's why they like hanging around with me because in a way I don't force it. Like I don't sit there and be like, so what are you feeling? Like I don't have those moments. But at the same time, when they do share situations, I interpret it as if it's coming from an FI place. And then I just say, you know what? I think you're a really cool person. And I'll just say it like that. And I'll just express my FI about them. And they like it in a way because it's almost unspoken rule between us FI users where we don't really need to express anything to each other. We just kind of understand that between us, we're all just individuals.
So I don't know if this is true, but I've heard this, that FE loves FI validation and TE loves TI validation.
I would want to reframe that as FE wants TI confirmation and FI wants FE validation.
FI wants FE validation.
Yes. Or well,
Yeah.
FI wants TE validation. Never mind. Sorry, it's TE validation.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
sorry, I just totally messed that up. But
it's a different idea, I guess.
because because at the end of the day, we of the opposing axis are using two different distinct styles of communication, and that's why it can come off like why we have misunderstandings anyway. Like why are FI users trying so hard to push for their TE because all they want to hear is that you acknowledge them as a person and that's still remembered. Whereas the FE is like, why are you guys still trying so hard to push your TI on me when I've already accepted it as useful? So I'm like, like we already are here. Like that's great. Like we're fine.
I was just saying that was another data point to contributing
It
to
is.
maybe this person being right when you were saying that like you validating somebody's FE was very consoling for them.
Yes. I would give them the disclaimer too, and I'd explain it that like sometimes it's a lot for me to do. Like especially with my ESFJ, like I've sat down with this person and we've talked, and I was like, you know what? I hope you don't take it the wrong way. I just don't feel as bad of it as you do, and that's okay. But I'm gonna sit here with you and validate that or confirm that you are correct because I feel you need to hear it. But at the same time, just remember that I'm still here, even if I'm not around. I'm still here. That's all I can really say.
Yeah.
There's moments where FE people, especially like I guess some FEs who have abandonment issues, and I don't mean technically the full psychological disorder term, but some have that. I mean FI users have it too, but I'm just saying like for the FEs who do, for the FEs who do though, they feel as if the distance that I'm putting in as an FI or the boundaries that I put in is a sign that I don't like them, but that's completely untrue. Because for me, like I mentioned before, or like what Jamie has mentioned in the comments, we freeze our feelings. So let's say you and I didn't talk for a week. Doesn't mean I have anything against you. Like that means I just paused it
for a week several times.
Yeah, like I don't have anything.
Secure with each other's enough
exactly.
to not be needy. Yeah.
Exactly, and I've had conversations with FE DOMs like that. I'm like, it's totally fine if we don't express anything. We're great with that by freezing it and moving on. And the thing is, to me, I feel strong already because it's like all the days, all the weeks, I'm still thinking about them. I just don't feel the need to text them about it, but then I know that they need to, so I would. Like, there's, um, I think it's gonna sound hilarious to the FE high stack that they're like, "What? You're thinking about us all the time?" I'm like, "Yes, because we're high stack FI. Like, of course we're thinking about you, but we're not gonna tell that because we're feeling it inside and we're enjoying it." But then, of course, I can understand why they might feel slighted by that. Like, "Oh, but then you didn't tell me, so how do I know?" And I'm like, "That's okay." So lately, what I do is I would beat my friends to it, like my FE Dom friends, and I'd text them first. I'd be like, "Oh, by the way, I've been thinking about you," and they're like, "What?" They're like all confused, and I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "There we go, I win." And then they're just
Okay, so here's a question, one off there. What do you mean by thinking when you say I've been thinking about you?
Thinking that encompasses a whole broad spectrum of it. It's more so like I would think about
Your
their
attention's been
identity,
on them.
their I've been thinking about their existence,
Like
their
attention? You mean putting attention on them in a
no,
way?
it's just meditating on their presence and their existence and their place in my life. That's literally what's going on. I would think about them and let them influence me in a way, like having like an inner voice that's their voice in me. And that's like what I have. And um, it's kind of funny because I've learned to just verbalize that now with people where I'm like, "Hey, we've been friends for so long. Whenever things go down, I remember your voice kicking in and telling me that you should drink more water, and it's your voice, not mine." And they're like, "What? Like, what the heck?" Like, but then we take things like that. We take pieces and we work with it. That's what I mean when I say thinking. Like, we literally incorporate your existence into our core, and we go about our
Yeah.
lives having you as an extension of our conscience.
No, it's just funny because if I was using that same language, I would mean something completely different
Yeah.
than thinking about you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. That's how we do it. I don't know if other FI users will relate to that because I do it and I know that's true for me, but if everything FI users agree with that kind of thing, I know one person used a very great example for a reverse situation. Um,
We have an
Crystal,
SI saying how
let's
SI
see.
thinks about people.
That's a weird shit. I usually miss that. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't miss. I don't know what that feels like.
So when I think Jamie's her name, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So when Jamie said that, she's talking about when she uses the word thinking, she's going to be talking about SI.
Yes. When I'm
Yeah.
talking about it, it's definitely FI. I like that you mentioned
And
miss them
then
because my
probably
friends have
another
that.
SI user then.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Probably.
What Jamie said about like she misses them, I like that point that she said because my friends do that. They would tell me they're like, "You understand why we keep talking to you? It's because we miss you. We want you there." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't feel the same way. It's not like anything against them. It's just that missing is another emotion I could freeze. Like I don't
Uh, I don't know if we lost Nate or we lost me.
Okay, sorry, I'm back.
Yep. So yeah, SI thinking. I think we're a little bit delayed in the thing. Anyway,
Okay,
where were we? Do you
sorry, I'm back.
remember?
Yeah, we were talking about yeah, like the whole missing concept. And you were mentioning something about oh gosh,
Just keep
see,
going. Missing concept. We're good.
missing concept. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have that situation. I don't know if it's because I am a 7 that the negative emotion doesn't work like that for me. To me, it doesn't make sense because I will see you next week. So why should I miss you? Like, I don't get it. Like, if I'm
Again,
gonna
that's
see
weird.
you,
It sounds like rationalizing feeling. Like that's what I would just say to somebody. That's what I would say to somebody.
I
Why would I miss you? I'm gonna see you tomorrow. Like
exactly. I mean, that's how it is with me. It's like, okay, like I plan. Like here's it. I actively plan and I actively fill up my calendar all the time with people. So like, why am I gonna miss them if I've already know that you're gonna come back? Like
yeah.
I don't get why we have to miss each other. Um, I'd rather that I hear
The
that
thing
you're
is, you
doing
might
great.
be missing them. You just wouldn't know it.
Probably. What if it's an internal thing and I don't know, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna acknowledge that too. I don't know. What if I don't? But externally speaking, I don't have that same thing. Like when people, this is gonna sound crazy, but like I've had people ask me, it's like, what is this? Like, why are you single? Why are you alone? Why are you at home on a Friday night? And I'm like, I don't know what it feels like to be lonely.
Yeah.
I don't. Why do I have to be? It's like my life is brimming and filled with all kinds of things. Why do I need somebody else to fulfill that when I don't? And
Yeah, it sounds like you
that's
have a good perspective on being alone, and yeah.
and that's okay with me. The thing is too is, um, like sure, like I'm not saying I'm against it. Like I love weddings. You know, I love marriages. I love that concept of it. I even love people like dating and romance. Like I'm into it. You know, like I'm into all that stuff. Just I don't want it for me. Why is that a problem in a way? Which I don't
Yeah.
see it as to be. But I've had people accuse me sometimes. They're like, "Oh, you're just third wheeling some couple." I'm like, "What do you mean?" I don't know what that means. Like, I'm literally sitting here enjoying myself. Like, why is that a problem? Like, and if anything goes down, I'll just order a drink. maybe it is rationalizing. It is my number one coping mechanism. So.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah.
What do you mean? Like you would go and stalk a couple and sit beside them and then just order a drink if people
No,
started
I wouldn't say
noticing you?
stalker. No, I just
Like,
naturally I'm really good friends with like people who happen to be couples. Let's put it that way.
right.
Like
Okay,
they just
yeah.
have. To me, it's not a big deal because it's you happen to be married to this person and I'm friends with both of you and we're just having a night out, like
Is it a big
whatever.
thing to
But
them?
no, it's
Or
not.
yeah.
But
So
then
then
to
what's the deal?
outsiders watching, it's
So
like,
screw the
oh, you're
outsiders.
just yeah. To the outsiders watching, they're like, see me
Yeah.
just kind of like rolling around, and they're like, oh, you're just in the background. Like, what are you doing? Like, aren't you a main character of your own story? And I'm like, where are you coming with this? Like, what are you talking about? I'm like
Of course you
I
are.
know I'm the
You've
main
always been
character.
the character of your own
Yeah.
story.
Like, I just to me it doesn't make sense. But again, I'm not gonna fault them for it because it's a perception that they own that I don't own, and that's fine. Like I'm an NE dom, I can acknowledge that everybody else has a different perception on things, and that's okay. Like, and I don't know, it's just one of those situations. So Jamie, like, yeah, it's kind of funny because I don't miss people, I miss experiences because I don't feel like as if I have enough. It's a bit
You
of a
mean
it's a contradiction for me because as a 7, I like to go out and experience everything. Like I like to put myself in situations where I'm always having
what
to
constitutes an experience? Like a roller coaster ride or talking to someone?
both. Going
Yeah.
on to an unknown avenue place, going out at like 3 a.m.,
Like
taking like
SE
a
experience sort of thing too?
yeah, sure, it could be. I mean, I fit it in all at once. Like I still want to do all kinds. Like I went scuba diving in like a year ago, and I went what is it? Like I went hunting for this and another year ago. It's like I've done stuff, and it's just I miss that again in a way. Like that's the stuff I miss. It sucks too because like I mentioned before, I see the world through a TV lens, so it's so hard for me to marry the idea of when I actually get what I want, it's not enough. Like I don't feel it, and that's the part that annoys me. It's the part that I related to when I was reading Thompson's book, because in a way, for any DOMs, we just like the idea. We romanticize the idea so much that when it actually happens and it doesn't live up to our expectations, we'd rather just live up to the dream instead. Like just focus on that and just move on to the next. So we end up not doing anything by yet missing everything, and it sucks in that way.
So we have a few comments here, and then
Yeah,
close this
there we
up.
go.
So has any dom experienced FOMO? Yeah.
Yes, I would say yes in a conceptual way. I don't experience FOMO in social situations. And you don't need them with the FI, but with yes, with SI, feed Axis folks, or even FESI, they always tell me that they're like, oh, I just happy that you're here, and I'm happy that you get to contribute to the mood of the room. And I'm like, great, that's fantastic. I just don't feel it. Like, I mean, I've retired the idea that I'm going to feel it, so I'm just kind of happy that I can help.
The thing is, they see that you have an influence on the mood of the room, right? They see that you have that ability, and they're just happy that someone can help them do that, and you just don't feel the FE responsibility to do that.
Yeah, people are like, well, you just don't have like a price, or you don't feel like you're paying anything. I'm like, I don't. I just do it. Like I've had situations where like I'm reading a group chat with people who are planning a party or something, and I'll just speak up. I'll just like, all right, if you guys don't want to ask, I'll ask.
That's the thing I've noticed as well, that FI users can just have such a good time amusing themselves, and because they're amusing themselves, everyone around them is having so much fun because they're getting sucked into them having fun, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, my personal words were either you ride with me or you watch me drive away. That's
Right.
just been my gig, and that's okay. Like, and although nowadays I've been told that exercise a little bit more sensitivity, so I was like, okay, do you want to ride with me? Like, I'll just do that instead. Like, he adjusted a little bit just so that I don't come off too mean, because I've been accused of being too blunt, but here we are.
Do you have anything that you want to mention just before we sign off? Any last message or?
I guess I don't know. Like, thanks for having me, but also,
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming out. Really
I hope
appreciate
I hope you guys, the folks listening, that you guys really take it, I guess, not super face value, because I speak a lot in metaphors and I like compare a lot. Like, I drone on a lot with my NEA, and I hope that's not lost in translation, which I have a feeling it will be. But like, for the FI users out there, I hope you guys feel understood in a way. I mean, yeah, I tried to read you guys for filth, but I mean, I also want, some form of understanding to come out of this. Like, I know I'm poking holes and everything, and trying to mess things up, but at the same time, my main goal is just we all basically understand each other at the end of the day,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Or offer.
People are going to misunderstand you. That's just always going to happen no matter what. That's
Well,
just how
yeah.
it is.
And
But,
I
mean,
just, I guess the last thing I want to add to is I just want to offer them the fact that we believe there is always another perspective. So please
Yeah.
acknowledge that there is. Like, that's just how it is. You don't have to take it. You don't have to use it. You don't have to trust it. Whatever. That's fine. It's just that it exists, and the world functions on their own perspectives as well, and that's like a thing. What I want from that is I want to hear it, even if I don't agree with it. I still want to hear it. So.
Awesome, Nate. Well, thank you for coming out. I really appreciate it. And have a good one, guys.
Thank you so much too. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.